Imagine standing in the middle of Manhattan and looking up. Glass towers so tall they disappear into the clouds. Steel giants that weigh millions of tons just suspended in the air above you. How did that happen? How did one city built on a tiny island end up with one of the most insane skylines on the entire planet? And here's the thing, it didn't start that way, not even close. New York City is a lot of things: loud, chaotic, beautiful, overwhelming, but above everything else, it's vertical. No other city on Earth tells its story the way New York does, through steel and glass and concrete reaching up into the sky. And that story? It's not just about buildings. It's about ambition, about competition, about a city that kept hitting a wall and decided to build higher instead. So let's go back. Way back. It's 1626. A Dutch trading company sets up a small settlement at the southern tip of Manhattan. They call it New Amsterdam. And honestly, it's pretty humble. Wooden houses, dirt roads, a few hundred people just trying to survive. There's no skyline. There's barely even a town. Fast forward a century or so, the British take over, rename it New York, and the city starts to grow. Brick buildings replace wooden ones. A port city is born. And by the 1800s, New York is booming. Ships, trade, immigrants pouring in. The population explodes. But here's the problem. Manhattan is an island, 11 miles long, 2 miles wide. That's all you've got. And as more and more people flood in, the land runs out. Land prices go through the roof. And when land gets expensive, you start thinking about going up. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. For most of human history, you couldn't build a building more than about 6 stories tall. Not because people didn't want to, but because the technology didn't exist. Thick stone walls could only support so much weight. And nobody wanted to walk up 15 flights of stairs, right? Then 2 things happen that change everything. First, steel. By the 1880s, engineers figure out how to build a skeleton of steel beams instead of thick walls. Suddenly, a building can be as tall as you can engineer it. The weight isn't on the walls anymore, it's on the frame. Second, the elevator. Elisha Otis had already invented the safety elevator back in 1852, and by the 1880s, electric elevators are making tall buildings actually livable. Now, people can go to the 20th floor without breaking a sweat. Put those 2 things together, and you've got a skyscraper. New York's first true skyscraper goes up in 1902, the Flatiron Building, 22 stories. Shaped like a triangle because it sits on a triangular plot of land. People at the time thought it was going to fall over. They literally stood around waiting for it to collapse. It didn't, obviously. And then, it's on. The 1920s hit, and New York goes absolutely crazy with construction. The economy is roaring, money is flowing. And every bank, every company, every tycoon wants their name on the tallest building in the world. This is where the story gets almost unbelievably dramatic. In 1929, 2 buildings are in a secret race to claim the title of tallest in the world. One of them is 40 Wall Street. The other is the Chrysler Building. The Chrysler Building's architect, William Van Allen, has a plan. He builds a secret spire 185 feet of stainless steel inside the building, hidden. Nobody knows it's there. And when 40 Wall Street announces they've topped out at 927 feet and declared themselves the winner, Van Allen reveals the spire. They bolt it to the top of the Chrysler Building in just 90 minutes. The Chrysler Building rises to 1,046 feet, world's tallest. Just like that. But it only holds the title for 11 months. Because in 1931, the Empire State Building opens, 102 floors, 1,454 feet, to the top of its antenna. And it was built, get this, in just 410 days. That's about a floor and a half, every single day. At its peak, 3,400 workers were on the site at once. It becomes the tallest building on Earth and holds that record for nearly 40 years. Through the mid-20th century, the skyline keeps growing. Glass curtain walls replace ornate stone facades. The style gets sleeker, cleaner, more modern. And then, September 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers, once the tallest buildings in the world, are gone, and Manhattan's skyline has a wound that the whole world could see. But New York being New York, it doesn't stay down. One World Trade Center rises from the same site. 104 floors. 1,776 feet tall, that number. Chosen deliberately, a nod to the year America declared independence. It opens in 2014, and it doesn't just restore the skyline, it redefines it. Today, New York's skyline is still growing. Hudson Yards, One Vanderbilt, 432 Park Avenue, a pencil-thin residential tower so slender it sways in the wind. A building literally designed to move. Here's what I keep coming back to when I think about all of this. New York didn't become the city of skyscrapers because someone planned it that way. It happened because of pressure. Limited land, booming population, fierce competition. A city full of people who kept asking, what if we go higher? Every building in that skyline is the answer to that question. And honestly, looking at it from the ground, that's not a bad answer at all. If you made it this far, thank you. Drop a comment below which New York building is your favorite. And if you want more stories like this about cities, architecture, and the people who shaped them, you know what to do.